Hi Queens, Sam here. I hope that you're doing amazing. In one of my videos, I did tell you a few reasons why I was moving abroad. And in that video, I did mention cost of living. And honestly, when I kind of like reviewed the video and listening to it after, I realized that maybe there were a few things that I should have mentioned in the cost of living aspect of it. So in that video, I did say that essentially one of the reasons why I wanted to move to a Latin American country was the cost of living, which is by all standards lower over there compared to here in Canada. But here's the thing, it all depends what you include in your cost of living. For me, cost of living right now, where I'm at in Canada, it's like my transportation, my housing, my food, those things, those big things that I'm paying for. But when I get to my destination, where I decide to settle when I move abroad, what I include in my cost of living there might be different from what I am including in my cost of living here. And I hope I'm making sense. So I'm going to be sharing with you three items that right now I'm not really thinking that much of in my cost of living, but I know that when I get to my destination where we decide to settle when we move abroad, those are going to be becoming a bigger part of my budget when I get there. And so, as I'm sharing this, I really want you to listen to it through the lenses of your own situation and start taking notes, because the worst that can happen, let's be honest, is you getting to your move abroad destination and realizing that there are like big item, stuff that you haven't accounted for in your budget that are eating a good chunk of your money. Because money remains one of the big reasons why people are not moving abroad or moving back after they move abroad. So it is a real thing. It is a thing. So in my case, what are those three items that right now I know they're there, but they're not really impacting my money that much? But I know as soon as I move abroad, and because I've also lived abroad for 8 9 months when I was, giving birth to my twins there and living in Playa del Carmen for that amount of time, I realized that essentially those were going to be were gonna be like one of things that I will need to account for in my budget. The first thing is healthcare. So I know healthcare is big in the move abroad community. We talk about healthcare a lot. And I know it's driven also by people from the US, because you guys have not the greatest when it comes to healthcare. Here in Canada, things are less, they're better. So essentially, people tend to say that we have free healthcare. We don't have free healthcare. We pay for healthcare through our taxes. So when you pay taxes, the government takes a portion of that and allocate it to healthcare. So you can go to the doctor for free, you can see the specialist depending on what you're having as a surgery for free, or like for a lower cost, all of that. So but it's not free. However, it's better, right? Because then people don't not go, they do not go, they don't avoid to go to the doctor because they have to pay out of pocket. And and unfortunately, that could lead into other illnesses and disease, because people are not really doing their health, they're not taking care of their health as they should, because it's costing them money. So here, help for healthcare, I don't really pay that much. First of all, like I say, the government uses a portion of my taxes for healthcare. And on top of that, I work for a company. I work with the federal government here in Canada. I work for the government. And so the government also tops up anything that the province, in my case, does not cover. So when I go to the doctor, I don't pay anything. When I need to fill a prescription, I pay, sometimes I don't pay anything, or I pay very little. And having three young kids, honestly, it's a blessing. It is a blessing. So though I know I'm paying through my taxes, I also know that if I had to pay that out of pocket, I will be paying more. That's just a fact. I'll be paying more. Luckily, we are healthy, touch the wood. Kids are good and everything, except the regular, the occasional flu and whatnot that happens to kids at that time as they're building their immune system. But overall, we never really had any big health scare or health issue. But like I say, I know that if I had to pay that out of pocket, I'll pay more. Now, when I'm going to move abroad, well, it's not Canada, right? So the healthcare system, if I want to have access to the healthcare system there, I'll have to pay out of pocket. And my goal when I move abroad is also to that my business will also uh, be at a level that actually I can live on. So I will not have to work for any company. So I will not have that added layer of protection or like help when it comes to my health. I will not have like health insurance through the employer. So you remove the I guess the healthcare provided by the government. You remove the healthcare provided system provided by the employer. I'm left with nothing. Granted, when I was living in Mexico, it was I was paying out of pocket. It was very reasonable. But then again, when you have young kids, you have to be ready, right? So I know I'll have my finances in a way that I can cover my expenses and also more, especially for healthcare. But I also know that for me, at least, I will not be going without getting like a health insurance in place. If you know me, you know that I'm big on insurance. I probably have quite a bit of insurance policies in place, more than the average person, and I'm going to be sharing more of that in another video, which I think is really important that you have the proper insurance in place, especially if you're a single mother like me and you have kids relying on your income. Well, that's another topic for another video. So I know that when I move abroad, I will be getting an health insurance, and so people can say, yeah, it's just 3,000, it's not 4,000, it's just 5,000. Doesn't matter. It's still 5,000 that I'm not paying right now that I'm going to be needing to account for. So that's the first item. The second item is daycare and school. So my oldest started school last year. So when we move abroad, he will be in a school. Right now, he's in a public school. I don't pay anything for that, except when they have activities and whatnot, and my twins are still in daycare. So when we move abroad, I think my twin will still be in daycare, and then my oldest will be in school. And so when we move abroad, this the my oldest Spanish will not be strong enough for him to be, let's say, in a um, public like Spanish school. So we will go to private school, which probably I'm gonna leave him there even when his Spanish is good enough, because I still want him to be actually to be in an environment where the people are speaking more than just one language, so being exposed to English. So it will go in a private bilingual school, and that will be out of pocket as well, something that I'm not paying for right now. And for the daycare, currently I'm lucky enough that I was able to get a subsidized spot for my twins recently, literally last September. But when I go there, I'll have to pay also. There is no subsidy right there. I'll put them in a private daycare and I'll have to pay out of pocket for that. The alternative will be to get a nanny at home full time taking care of them. However, I like when kids, they can interact with other kids and whatnot, so I'll probably put them in a daycare. And so I'll have to pay for the three of them, probably way more than I'm paying right now. So I need to think of that. And so the third thing that I'm not paying for right now, that I'm when I move abroad, I'll be paying for, is the nanny. So though I'm excited about that because I saw how much I leveraged that when I was in Playa del Carmen, when I was living there, a few years ago. It is still something that I'm not paying for that much right now. I do have my babysitter time to time coming to help me, but it's not on a consistent basis. Versus I'm gonna have a nanny over there, I would like to be able to guarantee regular hours for that person, because I know that they will be relying a lot on that for their own, um, you know, um, their own living and also for their family and whatnot. So I would like to be like, okay, I would like to have you for 20 hours or like for 30 hours a week. So that will be added expenses for me, added cost that I don't really have right now, because my nanny, she comes right now, my babysitter, she comes on a as need basis. I contact her a few days before or whatever when there is a day that I need someone just to look after the kid, whether I'm in the house with them, or I need to go out and run errands, or I'm going out with my friends for a night out or whatnot. And so again, that can add up really, really, really quick. And so when, in the move abroad community, we hear a lot, moving abroad is, it's cheap, is less expensive, is affordable. I think we need to be also very mindful to frame it in a way that it's not like a blank statement, right? So it all depends on your situation. It all depends on the type of life that you have, and your circumstances, right? So for me, I need to really consider it. I can't say that at the end it's going to be, you know, cheaper or like, less expensive for me to move abroad. But at the same time, I don't want that to be a deterrent for me to move abroad. I just need to know what it's gonna look like so I can prepare myself financially before. So then when we get there, not having the money to have the life we want will be a reason for us to move back. That I don't want. And so I'm sharing that with you. If you listen to this video, probably you're thinking of moving abroad. You need to sit and do your homework. You might not like budget, you might not like whatever you want to call it, but you need to put, pen to paper, or like open your laptop or your tablet and start crunching some numbers to have an idea of, what are your expenses are going to look like. And if you don't have that information, there are like, um, a few platforms that you can use, like Numbeo is one of them, the Earthweight is another of them. But the most important is also that you need to get in community with people who are already living there, who have your second, who are like in the same circumstances like you, that you can get some information from them. And ultimately, I would strongly suggest that you do a quick trip to where you're thinking of living to really get the information first and yourself, right? So those three steps are really important for you to do. So look at the platform, get the information, get into community, on whichever social media platform that you're using, with people who are already living there, ideally who have the same situation like you. So in my case, someone who's like single with no kids, nobody relying on them, sharing the cost with me, it doesn't really give me a good idea of what that could be for me. Ideally, I will want to have someone who has young kids like me, who has been living there for a little while, and just to kind of get a better sense of what it's like, because they can give me information about the schools, about the transportation there, about the activities for kids there, all of those things that I would not get from a single person living by themselves. That's just what it is, because their reality is different from mine. So where you get your information from is also important. Who you get that information from is important, so you can have as much as possible something that will be close to what your expenses will be once you get there. And then, like I said, the third thing is really that you just need to pack up, go, even if it's for 1 week, 2 weeks. You get there, you do a little quick trip, scouting trip at the destination. You go meet, visit the schools, talk to the people at the school, talk to families down there, do a little meetup with people there, who are also like you, immigrant into that country, to get the information firsthand from them on how is life, for families. In my case, for families living in that particular city or in that particular country. So there you have it. So I know already for those three items, I'm going to be paying way more than essentially what I'm paying right now. So in your case, have you done that exercise already? What are the items that you're not paying for right now, that you know that when you move abroad you're going to be paying for? And do you have a good idea of how much it's going to be? Very important to do that exercise. So there you have it. Just wanted to share that with you, because I felt like in that video I kind of presented cost of living as if I'm gonna go there and I'll be balling, and I'll be like, things will be less expensive. Yes, for certain things, but at the same time I'll be paying more for other things. So at the end of the day, is it really less expensive for me to move abroad? Maybe someone will say no, and maybe I might end up paying way more in total moving abroad than being here in Canada, but I'm still moving abroad. Right? So there you have it. Yeah, let me know in the comments. What are those items for you? Don't forget to like, to subscribe, share with anyone that you know who's also thinking of moving abroad at this point, so they can do that homework. Because guys, we don't want to get there and be enjoying our life and realizing that we're running out of money because our expenses are way more than what we thought, and then we need to move back or we need to go somewhere else against our our will, right? So we really want to be somewhere that we enjoy because we can afford it, we have done our homework, and all of those good things. Great. Thank you so much for listening again. And until next time, keep on building wealth. Bye bye.